Downcast Pembroke is back for 2026 with your local news and updates, but we are still talking about the flooding on the barrier. Let's get on with the show. Welcome back to the Pembroke Towncast, back for 2026. It's lovely to be back. Pembroke Towncast is your place for your local news, gossip, more gossip than anything else, and any interesting points or things that we pick up around the town through the week. And it's our town, it's Pembroke. It feels like it's been so long since I did one. Reality is it's like 3 or 4 weeks, but my name's Lee G, and I am your host for today's episode. So, yeah, plenty coming up this week. Just sort of do a little bit of an update, really, on what's been going on over Christmas, coming into the new year, and where we are, because things are moving fast now. Things are moving really fast. So like I say, we've got loads of stuff coming up on the barrage. I'll give you some updates on that, and what's happening around the mill pond. Well, not around the mill pond, around the castle pond and things like that, because it's really important to the town and to us as residents, especially if you walk it, which I do every day. So I thought I'd just give you kind of like an update of what's going on from my daily walks around the town. So the first bit that let's start with some good news. Let's start with some happy stuff on that. So Swan Watch looks like it's going to be back a lot earlier this year than it was last year. I'm already seeing swans pairing up. So just to frame this, we started Swan Watch last year about April time, maybe late February, and then it got going through March, and then into April is when the babies kind of arrived and what have you. Um, but I'm already seeing this year swans pairing up. Um, I've seen a couple of them looking for places, taking down um, reeds to make for bedding. And I've seen a few as well mating, which is a very in a strange way, it's an interesting thing. And then you realize, oh my God, I'm watching two swans having sex in the middle of the mill pond, and then you go, okay, maybe a best walk on. But yes, I've definitely seen swans pairing up and moving up. And there are loads more swans around this year than there usually are, but that's because last year there were no babies on the pond, so there was no. Normally, what happens is as the babies come, the mums and dads get very territorial, and the other swans that are not associated or not defending the territory, they go nuts to this. I'm gonna fly down river for a while, and they come back over winter when it starts getting a bit windy and a bit wet and what have you. Um, so yeah, this year there was no reason for them to leave. They all carried on. So there's loads and loads around. So I think we can. I'd like to say there's going to be loads of swans here, but there aren't because we just don't have the nesting sites. We keep cutting down the reeds, and they need the long reeds because they're old and they're more floaty. Um, the fresh reeds they won't be able to use, and we cut it all down at the end of last year. There were a couple of trees that fell down and took out a couple of sections that were nesting. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see that, but hopefully I might do a little bit of a Swan Watch preview next week just to kind of see where we are with everything. So that's lovely. I mean, that's nice to see, especially and I don't know if anybody else is noticing this, but I'm definitely seeing a wider variety of ducks on the pond. I'm seeing geese. I'm seeing barnacle geese. Now you'll notice barnacle geese because they are noisy as hell. Um, the when mute swans squeak, it sounds like one of those old-fashioned cycle bells. One of those. Whereas a barnacle goose, when they call, you can hear it everywhere. It's much louder, much deeper, more like a fog or more of a one of those. Um, so you'll know the barnacle geese when they're, and I'm only seeing them in ones and twos. But 3 or 4 years ago, there were none. So, that might be something that's happening and something that we might want to keep an eye on. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if it's a sign of anything. But I'm definitely seeing a wider variety of ducks. There are some ducks on the pond that traditionally we just have mallard. We're mallard. We have moor hens and we have coots. Coots and moor hens are essentially the same thing. They're cousins of the same kind of thing. They're the little black ones. Moor hens have got the red bit on the front. Coots have got the black bit on the front. And then we'll have mallards on there because they're just bloody everywhere. But I'm starting to see. I think I saw a poacher. I think I saw a golden eye. I think I saw a grebe on there. It's hard to see because they're quite a distance away, and I've got the dogs, so the dogs are like, "Come on, let's go." But yeah, if you're walking the pond and you're seeing some ducks that you're thinking, "Oh, these might be a bit interesting," stick them on our socials. Stick them on our socials because I'd love to keep an eye on what's happening with that. So yeah, that's the positive news. Lots of good stuff to come with Swan Watch. Negative news, and we kind of touched on this at the end of last year as well, where Holyland Woods is all now locked up and not accessible. I was talking to somebody about it today as it happened. It's a real shame that we've taken what was a fantastic community resource. Um, it's privately owned, but it was kind of leased out to the community for free, and do something with it, and we did, and then some people tried to wreck it, and then the people that were maintaining it kind of lost members of the group and couldn't maintain it, and now it's locked up. And I'll be honest, I don't know what the situation with is. I don't know if somebody's about to take it over, about to do something else with it. I don't know if the owner is taking it back into, private ownership. It would be a real shame if it was. Real shame because we could do so much with that. Um, One of the bits I'll talk to you about in a minute is like community placemaking grants and things like that. Um, and for me, Holyland Woods is crying out for that kind of thing. It's a resource that so few places have. It's a full on community woods on the edge of your town. It's got bats in there. It's got birds in there. I've seen red kites landing in there. It's got badger sets in there. It's got the full. You can see otters from there if you're lucky. We could do so much with that place with a little bit of effort and a little bit of creativity. We could do so much with it. So, yeah, as far as I'm aware, I mean, the gate is closed and it is now out of bounds to the public, which is really sad. But we will move on with that with some more positive news. More positive news. Paddle West. I remember last year we did a pod with the guys from Paddle West to explain what was going on with Paddle West and when they were crowdfunding for their new base, what the paddle shed. So anyway, like all the way through, a fair play to them. It would have been really easy to go. It's raining, it's wet, it's miserable. This is a hard place to get to anyway because you've got to go around the back of um, the Henry VII development. So you've got to get through that, and then so it's not an easy site to get to do stuff. But the boys have cracked on, and they're sharing regular updates on their socials, and I tried to share a few of them as well. But yeah, new set of doors on there. They've scraped a whole load of stuff off the walls. You can see that the flood, the drainage that was there, that was all kind of covered over, and so that's all been opened up. So now, when the rain comes down, the rain keeps going down, and it doesn't sit inside there, which is a massive bonus for what's happening. So yeah, keep an eye on that because I got a feeling that's going to be an absolutely fantastic kind of thing. When it gets done, when it's finished, that is going to be an amazing place. Take my word for it, it's going to be an amazing place. So yeah, the other bit that we need to talk about is the Castle Pond and the barrier, and there's a whole lot of other stuff that's happening around Castle Pond. And this is the central focal part of our town, and we really really need to get hold of this, not just as a as a county council, as a town council, but as residents, we need to be more involved in what's going on there. So to give you a bit of background, I think it's about every 10 years or so that barrier gets serviced. As you do in your car, you take out all the moving bits, clean them down, repair the bits that are a bit iffy, put it back together, lovely jubbly. And that should have taken a couple of weeks to do back in, I'm going to say that was, I'll tell you when that was, start of September. Start of September, 7th of September was when they, or 7th or 8th of September was when they started work on that. And when they removed some of the barriers, some of the pistons and the drams, the drivers, whatever they called, they damaged them. So they left the barrier in place and as high as it can go. And I'll be honest, when you walk around, there are quite a few days where the water coming in, coming up the estuary is, right up to the top on that. So what that happened then was we got to kind of end of November, start of December, and the rains came. Which who would have predicted it would have rained in winter? So um, the the long and short of it was it pretty much we're pretty much convinced that that caused a lot of the problems along the commons. There were other bits and what have you. It could have easily been avoided with a bit of forethought. So that's where that was. Other things that have happened since then. So the footpath that goes around the outside. So if you go over to the corn store, there's a footpath that kind of goes off off the old pier by the corn store and walks around the outside over the top of the barrier and around to the other side of Castle Pond. So with all of the rain and with the amount of when the water level came up and was, you can see where they've cut around the back of Rocky Park, it's kind of cut down, and then there's the path, so the houses up here. Then there's I'd say mini cliff, a man-made mini cliff. It's a lamppost high is what it is, and then we've got the path down here. So when the water that normally sits below the path was now halfway up the the bank, there's been a landslip. Somebody's garden is shrinking. And part of that was there was a lamppost there that came over. So this is before Christmas. That happened before Christmas because people were messaging me like going, well, look, Lee, what's going on? And I'm like, well, and I'd seen that the pathway had been closed. People were just kind of picking up the sign. A couple of people threw the sign in the water. Really helpful. Well done. Took a couple of weeks to get the lamppost cut off from electricity. Yeah. So but that lamppost still kind of cuts off the path and you kind of walk around it. It's now dangerous, essentially, because I think with the amount of water that's coming now, there's no guarantees that there won't be further landslips and there's further electricity around there. So, yeah, it's been closed until it can be made safe and repaired. So the diversion route for that, and you can see that in this here. This is Jonathan Grimes on Facebook. Given the most recent slippage of land, blah blah blah, above the footpath, yeah, blah 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 blah. We had to close that affected. That should be affected. I'm sure that should be affected, not effected section of the footpath due to health and safety concerns and increased risk. And I totally get that. I totally understand that because it just takes one rainy day, one person walking around there and something nasty happening and all sorts of stuff would happen. So they put up some proper barriers now. You can't climb out. There's no way around that now. And if you're that lazy that you feel you have to jump that barrier, well, then you're an idiot. So yeah, what it doesn't say is what's going to be happening with it. So just that stuff will be happening. Um, you can see on there. So that's the corn store there. That's the old um bit. That's the corn store. That's the old pier. That's what the word I'm looking for. And all of this now has got boarding around it, so you can't jump over and then walk around. There's a barrier that comes out here. So there is no way apart from jumping into the water and then swimming around. And then what's the point in using the path then? Um, and the diversion then goes up. So instead of coming here by Mill Pond, you go up to Rocky Park, back to Rocky Park just before the Ascona garage. There's a little lane that goes down to your left, and that will bring you back out to. You follow that road round, keep staying to the left, and you'll see where it comes out onto the little pathway that comes from Rocky Park onto the Castle Pond. So, also, we've got the issues with the barrage. So that barrage was meant to be done, like I said, last October. Then there were issues. Then it was going to be December. Now, then it was January 12th for 3 weeks. Now we're 2 weeks beyond that. So that needs to be done. And then we've had this again from Jonathan Grimes, which was on the 4th. So work should have started on the 12th. So it's due to be delivered back to site somewhere near the end of January for work to begin. Okay. Installation work in the early February. So if when that happens, there's no point walking around anyway because you can't get anywhere. So if when that bit there is closed off, you just have to walk around the inside path of the castle on that. So as well as that, okay, so you can tell that this was a big event because stuff's starting to happen. So this was shared by Aaron Carey, and this relates to the Commons side of it. So if you're walking up the Commons behind a bus stop, where you would cross over from the Commons to the back of the Castle Pond. Okay, now there's a big, that's where the stream comes in, and there is a big kind of rubbish grid, stops the rubbish getting through into Castle Pond. I think there must be some kind of pump or something under the road because they're different heights. You walk down onto the mill pond and you can see the river coming in here, and then all of a sudden the Castle Pond is up. So there must be a pump or something in there. So there's a thing there to keep the rubbish out. And you might have seen the video that I shared just before Christmas. That was, I mean, there was so much junk in there, so much junk, which kind of asks the question about. Yes, there was a lot of wood from the trees, which you would expect, absolutely expect. But then there was stuff in here that should never been here. That's down to us. And this is what I mean about we need to get involved as a community and question some of what we do and not leave this up to other people. So Aaron has shared this update, okay, that the Welsh Government Flood and Coastal Risk Management capital funding stream will undertake a repair of the trash screen by Monkton Bridge and create a safe access to the platform to allow safer clearance of trash screens. Why is that important? Because they couldn't clear it in November because they had to get a JCB in to clear it. Yeah, a little mini digger. That was the only way they could clear it. You couldn't walk down there and pick stuff up because it just wasn't safe. So put it in a way where regularly, each week, each month, before we know the rain is coming, somebody can go down and go, okay, let's take the rubbish away. So when the water does start to build, it can go straight through. And I will say, so today is Sunday 25th. I walked there today. That river is still the river that goes across the Commons. Yeah, let's call it the Commons stream. Okay, So the common stream is a lot higher than it normally is. Lot higher. Um, the the sluice at the on the barrier is working, and that looks again like it's pumping stuff out. Before it looked like it was allowing stuff to flow out. And when as soon as the high tide came, it kind of stopped. Now it looks like it's pumping. So it looks like even when the tide is higher, you can see there's movement in the water with stuff being pumped from the mill pond, from the castle pond out into the estuary. So things are happening. Things are starting to move. But I would ask the question again: why was this not 14? Why did somebody not go right? Okay, we've got an issue here with the barrier. What do we need to do? What could happen? We could have a lot of rain. What, in the middle of winter? Really? We can have rain? Yeah. What would happen if we had lots of rain? Well, it would start to back up because they wouldn't be able to pump it out quick enough. Then what? It's a simple process, and I cannot see why people did not foresee that. But that's all hindsight. It's good to see that stuff is happening, and you can see. So that's Aaron Carey's page on Facebook. These are just screen grabs off Facebook, and that's Jonathan Grimes on Facebook as well. They're both Tories. Don't hold that against them. I'm sure they're nice people. I know Aaron is a nice person. And I've spoken to Aaron a couple of times. So, yeah, they at least something is happening, and keep in touch with those two Facebook pages because they're both a good source of information. So moving on to something a bit more positive, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where so grants is kind of I know a fair bit about grants and what have you. So PCC placemaking grant, okay, is a very different thing. Let's be clear straight away, okay, before anybody starts on all the usual rubbish that you get around these kinds of things, okay? This is not council money, okay? This is central government money that is allocated out to every single council in the UK, and they go, right, okay, go and make your place look better. This is nothing to do with collecting your bins, fixing potholes, blah, blah, blah. There are other pots of money for that. Okay. So if anyone tries to mix arguments and all of those kind of things, yeah, don't. Okay, is the gist on this. So the placemaking Pride in Place Impact Fund is what it's called this year. So that'll be PPIF is what it'll be referred to if it goes as it should do in the past. So this is a fund about investing in places that matter to our communities. Okay, so not businesses. This isn't about business rates. Whoever keeps replying and going, "We need a shoe shop on Main Street," this isn't going to make it happen. Okay, what this will do is it make community assets, community spaces more accessible, more usable, more adaptable. Okay. So this is creating, extending, or improving or updating ones that are there. So this is where I go back to the Holyland Woods and go, well, yeah, this would be an ideal project for that. You could, commons. I know that we'd all love to do different things with the commons, but there are issues with what you can and what you can't do on the commons because it's classed as a community green. So it comes under different regulations and all of those kind of things. But there are lots of groups, lots of people, lots of things that we could do. But here's the thing, you have to get involved. You have to get involved. So this is on Facebook, okay? So this is on the PCC Facebook page, okay? 14th of January. There is a link there. Now, I've done 2 or 3 of these, okay? You can do as many of these as you want. And I think the more of us that say the same thing, the more likely that will become a project. So at some point in the past, there would have been a similar exercises to this that would have gone out to town councils. In fact, I know it went out to town councils. It didn't come down to members of the public, But I went out to town councils and county councils and they said, do you want some money to do some big projects? And that's where the Henry VII Centre has been funded from. Central government, thank you very much. Was there something that would really improve your area? Yes, it would. And by the way, um, that Henry VII Centre is looking ding dong. That is going to look absolutely fantastic when it is finished. I think it's got another 12 months, but it's completely sealed. So yeah, you can see they're cracking on with that. So I'll be honest with you. I've sent one in for the town skate park, or the multidisciplinary activity park, however we want to call it. I've done one for Holyland Woods as well, and I've done one that is for Holyland Woods to be a skate park. Yeah, so it's not a skate park; it's an activity park. Yeah. So there's things like that, but that's just me. That's go right. Okay, what could I do? But you will have your own ideas about, oh, this would be good. Throw them in there. Because the more of this that we do, the better. If we don't tell central government, we don't tell the county council that this is what we want, we're never going to get it. Okay, so it takes 30 seconds. Well, it doesn't take 30 seconds. It takes 30 seconds to do the first bit. And then depending on how much you want to write after that. I think it took me about 3 or 4 minutes for each application. It doesn't take long. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on your laptop, you can do it wherever. Tell your friends, tell your family, get people to, if you've got a good idea, get people to put it on there. If you want to message me and go, hey, look, this is what I've put in. I think this would be a great idea. Can you give it a mention? I'll add it as a slot going forward. What I can't see on here and what I didn't see on the form, and I may have skimmed through it, was a closing date. Okay. There will definitely be a closing date for this. Okay. So get on it and yeah, put some stuff in there. Um, I'm gonna put another one in for stuff on Main Street. We need to have, Main Street needs to have activities on it regular, and we need to start that with the on Fair Weekend when the whole thing is closed already. We need to use that bottom half for a town festival of some sort. That's my next one that's going to go in. So the bit I skimmed over just now as well, and this is all about getting involved with things. So don't turn around and say, "Oh, they're doing this," and I didn't know anything about it. These are your opportunities to get involved in what's happening. Okay, so the other bit that I want you to get involved with is this. So again, this is on the PCC website, 20th of January. Okay, a long-term plan that will guide where homes, jobs, infrastructure, and major investment should be located across Carmarthenshire, Neath, Port Talbot, Pembrokeshire, and Swansea in the next 25 to 30 years. So, for those of you that don't know, there is it's called a CJC, Combined Council, Joint Council, something like that. And then there's this thing called the Swansea City Bay Investment Portal, or whatever it is. Basically, we now get lumped together in all of that area. Okay. And the same goes for this again. Okay. You have to get involved and you have to tell people what you want. Yeah. So for me, and let's say I walk Holyland Road with a dog 2, 3 times a day. Yeah. If you're driving across there and you're not doing 20, I'm going to shout at you because somebody's going to get killed at some point, and I'm just hoping it's not going to be me. Okay. But you can see Holyland Road weekly now churning up. You can see the roundabout is deteriorating and people are flying through there at 40. Today, I must pass that roundabout and I must be there for 40 seconds at most in each direction. And I saw 2 near accidents on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah, so not busy, but people just flying across there, just ignoring it. So, yeah. Anyway, um, this is about where do we want the development to happen? Yeah. Where do we want that infrastructure to be located? What infrastructure do we need? We in Pembroke need a better road. We need a road that diverts all that heavy traffic around the outside and doesn't bring it through the town centre. Tractors, lorries, 40-ton tankers go and walk, drive in the same route as people on bikes. Well, it's asking for trouble. So those are the kinds of things we're about to have. You may have seen again just before Christmas, where RWE have been given permission to start the battery project, the MPZ project out at the power station. Valero have got permission to expand. I don't know what their project actually is, but I think it's the hydrogen project out there. So there's going to be more and more lorries coming through. There's going to be more and more traffic coming from outside town. They're just completely ignoring residents. And if you sit there on a Friday afternoon and watch the vans and the traders that have been here all week flying out of town, it's horrendous. But we're going to have a whole load of lorries coming through the town centre. We're going to have much, much more traffic coming through there. So we need to be saying to people, look, all well and good. Go create new jobs, fantastic. Go and create new industries, excellent, well done. Completely love that. But though, let's take account of what's going to happen because, yeah, we're having to put up with the deteriorating roads, and I've seen this numerous times now where two cars are coming in. If there's a car parked somewhere or something like that, and another car will go up around the outside, and instead of somebody slowing down, they just drive along the pavement. Doesn't matter if they. I saw an old lady. This is before Christmas, but again on Holyland Road, where somebody swerved around to avoid a car coming the other way. Instead of stopping, they swerved around and nearly took out an old lady because she was wearing a black coat. Yeah, she was difficult to see, and he didn't see her until it was too late. Could have just stopped. So anyway, that's about infrastructure. That's about where do we want things going. These are the people that make the decisions that will affect us for the next 25 to 30 years. So seriously, get involved. Tell these people what you want. I will share both of those posts on our socials. Please, 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 please get involved and tell people what you want. Because if you don't, you got at least if you're telling them, you've got a chance of going, well, I warned you, you know? Okay, that's those two. Lovely jubbly on that one. See, I always end up like this. I always end up, I go, let's keep it positive. Let's keep it positive. And they go, right, we need to solve problems. It's just the way it is. Okay. Anyway, if you are still with us, please do share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It makes a massive difference to us, and you'll get to see all of the stuff that we put. So when we do Swan Watch, when we do a couple of other bits, I'm trying to do a few other bits and bobs that hopefully will come online this year. That would be great if you can do that. So if you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, I will be very grateful. You'll get to see all the other stuff we do. And as we expand, you'll get to see the news from Pembroke Dock, from Tenby, Haverfordwest, Milford, and you can have a little nose on those as well, which is great. Okay. One of the new things that I want to bring in this year then is business in focus. So I've spoken to a couple of businesses, and this is just about me mainly getting organised more than anything else. But each week or every now and again, I kind of want to do a business in focus where we'll go out to a business and we'll go, tell us about your business. Tell us about what you've got. So if you're a restaurant, it may be, oh, you're launching a new menu. Or if you're a shop, it may be, we've got a new range of stuff in for Valentine's Day, for Mother's Day, for Father's Day, whatever. It may be your new business opening. You want to go, hey, come and look. You might have a special event on. You might do, you might be having an open day or anything like that. Let me know so I can put something in place and I can come and talk. If you've got friends that are businesses and you think, oh, they'd be great for it, by all means, tag them on the post below on Facebook because it'd be great to speak to some local businesses. And hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, I'll have a bit more time to go and have those conversations. And as I said, that's kind of it's part of why I set Towncast up. That being able to, as a local business, we've lost a lot of that ability to connect with local residents that we rely on for um, our regular trade. And now we just, as local residents, we just pick the easy route and we'll go, oh, well, I'll get something from Amazon, I'll go to Tesco's or whatever. So yeah, I just finding that way to connect local businesses with local residents is that's where my passion in this kind of project lies, if you like. So, if you've got anyone that you want to, or a business that you think, oh, that would be interesting to know a bit more about, message me, let me know. If you're a business owner, message me, let me know. I'll more than happily have a conversation with you, and we can talk about what's what. Okay, so I remember, let's do I remember. So I was thinking about this over Christmas. I met some friends at King's Arms over Christmas. And we had a really good night in it. Really good night. Really good night. And as it happened, that one of our old friends that I haven't seen for 25 years, maybe, happened to be in the pub at the same time. So we had a nice catch up and all of those kind of things. And it got me thinking about what pubs we used to drink in when we were younger. What pubs used to exist on Main Street and what well not even on Main Street or around the town. What pubs used to be there. Um and and they're not there anymore. They're not there anymore. And that's the bit that kind of well, that's an interesting one. What used to be a pub? So the one that springs to my mind is what used to be the Eastgate pub. I'm sure it used to be just called the Eastgate pub, which was on the roundabout at the end of Main Street. There's now the dental surgery. So I definitely remember having a couple of beers in there and playing pool in there. It used to be quite handy because you'd have that and then the Oak and then the Hope, and you'd kind of all three of them around the same kind of roundabout. And if you were, we used to do loads of parties at Pembroke Rugby Club when I was younger. So that used to be kind of like you kind of ping pong between those three on your way up. But I'm sure it was called the Eastgate. So if anyone can remember drinking in the Eastgate, yeah, comment below and all of that kind of stuff. But and then I'm sure there was one as well. I know there was one because I'm sure the signage is still the letters are still on the side of the house of the Railway Inn or the Railway Tavern or something like that, which is opposite the train station. But it and now it's someone's house. But it always just looked like someone's house. It looked like you were drinking in someone's front room. I've never drunk in there. But I've seen people going in and out and going, "Oh, is that a pub?" And then you look on the side. I'm sure they've just painted over the old. Um, I don't know what they are. It says the Railway Inn or whatever in things that are just stuck to the wall. So yeah, did you used to drink in the railway? And then the other one, there's obviously Cromwell's as well, which is now kind of back open as a drinking place, but more of a restaurant where you can have a few beers as well. We can have some cocktails. I didn't get there for Christmas. I had a whole load of events that just popped up, and before I knew it, it was January, and I'm like, wow, that's insane. Um, but yeah, so obviously Cromwell's is one, and then there used to be one halfway across Main Street, um, kind of up by Ali's Barbers, up that kind of end by there. And I'm sure it was called the York. Now, again, that looked like a house where you could just go and drink in someone's front room. But yeah, that one kind of sticks in my mind. And then there was one on the Commons as well that was a little bit iffy at the end. It was great for a long time. For a long time, it was great. It's kind of like where the houses are on the commons. So right at the end of the commons, if you're coming across the commons, you've got past the carvery, and then there's that row of houses on your right before the car park, and then you turn up the hill. That used to be called something. and I can't remember what it used to be called. I think it was like a restaurant kind of was it? It wasn't a nightclub. The Tanyard was a nightclub, um, but that was like a. It had like a function hall in there, which in the end why it got closed down. And then some of the houses, some of the bits that houses used to be like the hotel rooms and stuff like that. And for a long time, it was really, really popular, really. And I cannot for the life of me remember what it was called. But somebody out there will. Somebody will remember, and somebody will have some photos. Now, if your photos from the reason it was closed, just keep it to yourself. This is a family home. Um, but yeah, what was that? It was something house. There's something house, and it was late 80s, 90s, whatever it was, something like that. Um, yeah, so there must have been others. There must have been others that were um open and now they're not and what have you. So yeah, where did you used to drink? Is the Black Rabbit Pub still open? Didn't that used to be a thing? That's somewhere in Orange Gardens. I went there once. A friend took me there once, years and years and years ago, well, in 1819 or whatever. Um, so yeah, does that still exist? Is that still there? Um, let us know. Let us know where you used to drink. Let us know where did you go? What did you do? And how many pubs did we used to have in Pembroke that are now no longer there? It would be great to just kind of reminisce a little about what we had and what isn't there now on that. Okay. Um, I shall leave that to you guys. Comment below on the video. Comments on the YouTube video are really good. Look, they help massively as well. But it also is really easy for everyone else to get involved and have a conversation. So yeah, please do comment below. That would be great to get your ideas around. Who used to run them? Where did they drink? What were they called? It was something house. It's going to bug me. I'm going to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to, it was called. And then I'll remember, but it'll be too late. Okay. So before I move on, then, if you are sitting at home and you're thinking, hey, this I could do that. Why is he talking to himself? Why is he talking to himself all the time? This would be so much better with two people on there or three people on there. I totally agree. I absolutely agree. Come and get involved. I have got a couple of people to go back to, and my apologies to them because I know they're regular listeners as well. So my apologies that I haven't gone back. I say Christmas was just crazy, and the new year has started at 100 mile an hour. We're nearly at the end of January, and I'm still like, wow, I'm still putting my Christmas decorations away. So, yeah, if you want to get involved, drop me a line. I love Towncast at gmail.com or get in touch on Facebook or whatever. Or if you see me walking the dogs and you go, hey, that podcast thing, I've got some ideas for you, or I could do that. By all means, do get involved. I'd love to get more people involved in that. It would be fan dabby dozy. Okay, so my next section then, if you like, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, okay? And this isn't a criticism of the places that do it. I've seen quite a few places around town doing Burns night. You go, lovely, lovely, okay, Burns night, yeah. Oh, yeah, but he's a Scottish poet and what have you. We have got Henry VII, who was born on January 28th, 1457. And the way I remember that is 3 to 3. Okay. So he was born January 28th. Why can't we do something for that? That is what Wednesday night. So it's too late for this year, but we need to create a festival, a vibe, a thing. The whole thing with Burns Night and the haggis and this, that, and the other, that was created to remember him by. That wasn't something that he did. They were like, all right, we'll read a couple of his poems and we'll have some traditional food and then we'll all get hammered and then we'll wake up in the morning and go to work. Lovely job. Thank you very much. So, you know, Henry VII, born in Pembroke, January 28th. let's do something, especially next year. Next year's got a seven in it, so it'll be however many years. Um, so yeah, let's do something where people go, end of January, January 28th. There's a really good night down in Pembroke. Henry Night is called, or whatever we call it. Um, and we do, we should dress up as Tudors or whatever, but let's do something. Let's do something. Um, I've seen a couple of posts on Facebook about how hard it is to be in the beer industry at the minute, in pubs and all of that kind of stuff. I totally get that. So here's a gift for you. Here's a gift for you to create an event that people will. It's got a relevance, okay? It's got relevance to us in Pembroke. This is special for you. If you're a business in Pembroke, this is something that absolutely doesn't belong to anyone else and belongs to you. We could do something about this. So, yeah, let's do Henry Day, Henry Night, whatever it is. Let's do that. And have a good old song and a dance. Let's start next year because what have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? And I'm sure there are some really creative people in Pembroke, really, really creative people. And it would be great to see lots of people get involved and celebrate Henry Day going forward. Okay, that is my wouldn't it be nice? So let's finish off then with a little bit of sports news, which I'm going to go back to. Crikey, when was it? This was the game that I was previewing before we finished. So we'd done this one, we'd done the loss to Tenby. So 20th of December, this is so rugby results to start with. The football one is going to be hilarious on this. So let's have a look. So 20th of December, 34-0 loss to the Quins down at the Quins. I mean, I think we skip over that one. I think we skip over that one because that's going to be hurting those boys quite hard. So no games then. I think there were cup games. I think that's what it is. There was probably cup games until last week, which was a trip across the road to Langham, 43-14 away in Langham, which is great. And then this weekend's game was postponed against Crummock. Think the pitch would have been okay. So I was suggesting that that might be a Crymych issue because they have had issues with fielding teams this year. If you look there, they've only played 8 games and they've got points deducted. Where is Pembroke in the league? One, two, three, four. I think, yeah, we're out of that race now. I think we're out of that race. That was a really important game against the Quins to win. Um, yeah, and we didn't. So, yeah, suck it up and move on. Fixtures coming up then. So Pembroke play Lanabother this weekend. That's 31st of January at home. That should be a comfortable win, boys. I should be realistically, let's not mess around with it. That should be a comfortable win. And then in the next game, and with the rugby, everything starts to get mixed up with international stuff. So you don't play on a weekend when there's an international game because everyone's meant to be going and watching the national game. Mm. Anyway, Lanabother this weekend, and then Newcastle Emlyn Dragons, which is their second 15 on February 14th. It's a long old trip for Valentine's Day. So yeah, those are fixtures coming up. Okay, let's have a look at football. Like I said, football is going to be quite a difficult one to review on that because there's loads of games to review. As always, thanks to Always Sports for putting this in because without these guys, there isn't really a national database of where are the sports results. It's bizarre. We do rely a lot on all Wales sport for this. Okay, so I'm just going to go back through. I'm just going to pick out a couple of key results, and then we'll go and have a look at the table, see where everyone starts. So, Carew beat St Ishmael's 3-1 last weekend. Weekend before, oh, that's a nice one. Swifts beat Merlin's Bridge. That's a nice, decent one there. 10th of January, then Carew beat Fishguard 4-2. I'm just looking for, doesn't looks like Swifts didn't play that weekend there. And then 3rd of January, yeah, Swifts beat Narberth 7-0. That's a nice win. Carew beat Clarbeston 4-2. And then 13th of December, we covered those before because we did Swifts against Carew. So yeah, that's all done. So let's have a little look at Division One. So Swifts are, I mean, closing in on Hakin, but that's we're still looking at a 10-point gap. We're still looking at a 10-point gap. Um, yeah, I mean, it's doable. It's definitely doable, but yeah, you got to worry about, have they left too much there until the end of the season? Hiru, four off the bottom, 15 points. I think they're safe from relegation if they continue the form that they're in at the minute. But yeah, I mean, Kilgetty and Fishguard are having a nightmare of a season. So there is that to thank. But yeah, you never know how these things turn out. So this weekend, then you've got Carew against Narberth, and then this one here, Swifts against Penner Robbins. Now, it wasn't that long ago where that was a game again. I think they played somewhere in December, but it couldn't have been. I definitely remember it being and me talking about it and going, this is huge. Or maybe it was that game there. Maybe it's the Hakin game. I don't know. It was 8th of November. Swift 7, Penner Robbins nil. Now that looks like a hammering. Yeah, that looks like a hammering. But that game, yeah, down on the Robins, that's huge. That is huge. If the Swifts come away from there with a decent win again, then yeah, they're on for the top of the table. But oh, what a game! What a game to finish January with. Yeah, looking forward to that one, and should be a decent crowd there as well. So Division Two, if I remember correctly, we've not really got much in Division Two, have we? Swift reserves. That's what we're looking for. Swift and Carew reserves in there. Okay, so nothing there. Swift Reserves lost 1-0 at Camro. Sorry, Carew Reserves lost 1-0 at Camro. Swift Reserves lost 6-1 at Goodwick United Reserves. So that's a biggie, isn't it? 3rd of January there, you can see Swifts lost 5-2 at Merlin's Bridge seconds. Carew Reserves lost 3-0 at Goodwick. It's not been a good end of the year and start of the year, is it? And then this one here, yeah, I don't, yeah, it all got a little bit crazy near the end of December, didn't it? Where there were no games and what have you. So, where are we sitting in the tables? Kieru reserves foot of the table as it has been for a long time. Swift reserves starting to fall down the table. Um, yeah, going to be a tough one going forward through that. Division three, then. So look at Division three. Again, knowing who we got. Oh, Loreni beat Kiru seconds 3-1 last weekend. Da, da, da. Yeah, not really. And then Loreni lost 6-0 at the Borough. Oof, that's a bit of a heavy one. Yes, not really much going on there for us on that. And then if you look, Loreni are in fourth, and yeah, that's pretty much all we got going there. Fixtures for Loreni this weekend, then away to Broadhaven on that one. Okay, Division 4 results then. Hundleton, that's a decent win for Hundleton. 5-1 at home to St Ishmael's Reserves. Well done, boys. St Florence, 5-2 winners away in Prendergast Villa. Again, yeah, decent scores. Manabia, if you're that far out, lost 3-1. Fishguard Sports, Angle, oof, 8-2 winners over Prendergast Villa. That is a good one. And then Hundleton as well, 8-1 winners over Solva Reserves. That's on 10th of January. That would have been second game back. So, yeah, Excellent. So first game back after Christmas, Angle 10-1 over Neyland Reserves. Oof. And Hongleton 5-3. Oh my Lord. Look at that score there. Fishguard Sports 25-0. 20 for there were rugby games that score less than that over Johnston Seconds. Oh, oh, you wouldn't want to be playing for Johnston Seconds, would you? Okay. Yeah. Where does that leave everyone? So St. Florence top, Angle closing in the two games on there. So if they win both of those games, that would put them on 43 points. It just takes one slip up from St. Florence and Angle are there. So it's good to see two local teams going at it. Hundleton going up the table. They're now mid-table. That's good to see as well. Yeah, and Johnston on the wrong end of the 25-0 aren't even bottom, which is bizarre. But you can see Manorbier down the bottom there as well. They're three off the bottom. Games for this weekend then. Hundleton host Neyland Reserves. Manorbier travel to Johnston Seconds. And no game for Angle. Can't see a game on the board there for Angle. Okay, let's finish off then with Division 5. Um, see fixtures coming up. Nothing really there. So I can't remember who we've actually got in Division 5. I don't think we've got anywhere here. Oh, Loreni Reserves. Yeah, Loreni Reserves. Okay. So, Loreni Reserves, 0-0 with Herbernston Reserves. What have we got there? No, I can't see them there. Oh, there we go. 1-0 winners over West Cricket Club Reserves. And then first game back in January, uh, the Rennie Reserves lost 2-0 at Broadhaven. Where does that leave everyone in the table? We're the Rennie Reserves. And they've gone up a little, but yeah, I think no, I think they were four off the bottom, but that looks comfortable now. There's enough space in between them and those three at the bottom to where it's not like they can get relegated anywhere, but nobody wants to finish bottom. So yeah, I mean, there's potential for them to go up, but look how many games in hand Herbernston have got. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see how they clear that backlog on that. Okay, that is it for this week then on that. So thank you all very much for your comments, especially those of you that put comments to say thank you at the end of last year. Much appreciated. It is good to be back. It is nice to be back. We are going to make a big effort on Timecast this year. How many times did I say that last year? We're going to be more regular. I'm going to record every Sunday. I'm going to publish every Monday. Keep an eye out for us. Like and subscribe. It'll let you know when we're going live and all of that. And if you want to come and join us, please do. It has been an absolute pleasure once again, and I will leave you as always with a thought. Let's make Pembroke proud. All the best.